That's right, we have some Purrely action for you today. I didn't expect to see that. We have some Traptrix and, well, a lot more of your standardized metagame contenders. A big 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More content. So the first thing we're going to be looking at here is Purrely. All of these are going to be side event top cut finishers here out of Kong's cards. They've been doing a lot of mini tournaments. We'll get back to like your regularly scheduled program for some of this stuff. But, you know, just because Delicious Memory went to one doesn't mean, you know, people can't try things. And actually, the thing that makes me very entertained about this list is the fact that we are trying, you know, a Sprite package in here, actually to kind of give this deck the ability to kind of replace what it lost. Don't underestimate like what a good consistent extra engine can kind of add into the pool. I mean, if not, this deck just kind of feels like Zeus control at certain points. I'll be honest with you, Zeus is still going to be one of the best cleanup machines that this deck can kind of actually have access to. But it is nice to see the ideas that are kind of being brought to the table, at least to keep this deck alive. Next up here is, oh boy, cash, money, dollar bills. Now what I find very interesting is we've kind of gone back to Goliath. I mean, to be fair, like this deck has a lot of room out here to kind of try some of the old innovations that it was doing. Of course, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Once again, this is another one of those stupid good cards right now that you see players kind of turning back to and going, you know, like, can we get away with playing this? Cashier's been in a very interesting spot at the beginning of this format, and I think a lot of people have been trying to figure out, you know, like, best adjustable ratios to, you know, get things to stick. And I think the more and more that, you know, it looks like they're going after this card, this card has been like the trade-off machine. And I mean, you have a fantastic card here to help you take control of your opponent's stuff. Man, I think this format might actually go down as the Zeus Wars if you have a deck like this actually being something that's showing up. All right, next up here, we have our Traptrix deck. So, straight off the bat, yeah, we have, I don't know why you're trying to play this deck without Evenly Matched at this point in time. Evenly is like one of the best things that you can bring to the table. Like, this gives you the equalization option to even think about playing the game. And to be honest with you, I think it's fine. We are playing Double Pot of Prosperity, which somebody might be like, well, where's the third? I mean, 2 is on like budget options, even though they're a lot cheaper than they once were. And of course, we're still sticking to Parallax Seed. I mean, seeing the beer in here is good, but like, this kind of just makes your Sprite matchup a little bit more intolerable, in my personal opinion. You do need to make sure that like you can have this to cover a lot of other matchups. Sword Soul's kind of fallen into the category, Cashier's kind of fallen into the Sword Soul category that you can kind of just play this card and kind of win the game against them right now. So it's very interesting there. Next up is Runic with our Sprite Evil Twin package. So the thing that I have loved about seeing this deck is the little forms of interruption that you get down here with these guys is actually really, really good. And then, of course, this is your draw package, this is your interruption package, and this is kind of like the very consistent package kind of brings everything together. Obviously, you have interruptions in the form of this stuff as well, but bridging the gap together for these engines actually opens up a very interesting place for how the metagame can kind of hold this together. And I think a lot more people are going to continue to test this. I also like the fact that, you know, this deck does get to play talents. In the past, though, when we were seeing this deck kind of come up, a lot of people were focusing on the Evenly in the main deck, which I think this is going to, the interchangeability between these two will depend on how the rest of the format, once again, kind of shapes up. Very early testing, though, they are very interchangeable depending on what you play against. Next up is, this is basic Sprite. Let me tell you about this package right here. I have enjoyed watching the little Melfi package extend through, you know, the penny here, and then you make the Herald for the additional negate, or you make the Merry Melfis here for the spot removal. Either way, this package right now has been crazy. Actually, Sprite has been a pretty good deck overall. I think the way that this deck has kind of handled a lot of the situations as it's been evolving is very, very interesting. Also, Fenrir here has been very, very solid too. Fenrir for Fenrir, you know, your opponent cleans it up, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Also, if you start getting into the crazier department back here, handing your opponent Nightmare Corrupt Ridley. Nobody's prepared for this right now. Honestly, the Nightmare Corrupt Ridley will win you some of the freest games that you ever could. It's almost ridiculous how powerful this card actually is right now. So good stuff to Sprite doing its thing. Next up here we have Vanquish Soul. Now, what's so very interesting about this here is this is a relatively teched out version of this deck. We have a Rise Heart here, depending on, if you need to toggle for it off of this, if you can, toggle a talents for it as well. And, leveling this guy up just says, hey, as long as the effect of a, Shingra era was triggered, congratulations. You are good to go. It's so good. Also, we're doing the same thing everybody else is kind of doing at this point. Toggle them up, stack them Zeus after you take your opponent's monster. It's literally the Zeus Wars. But outside of that, this deck has some very cool options, especially with this. The Bysteals are crazy right now. Like, this mini package, for these being very huge monsters, these guys handle so many problems right now for this deck. Also, shout out to this card being the fact that you have access to it. It's great. Next up here we have some more Rock'em Sock'em Bop'em, Cached Era. Now this build I feel like is trying to be a little bit more safe at this stage. You are obviously doing talents and thrust here as well. Preparation is still doing its thing here. To keep in mind, one of the earlier lists did play double preparation. That is a little bit out of the norm here. You do see Drone Lockbird getting pushed back into the side deck right now. While, searchability is still a key point in a lot of the formats, a lot of players feel like Droll is just falling out, and that's fine. Meanwhile, this card is insanely good right now. Like, Anti-Spell Fragrance will steal you so many games that it's actually kind of unfair right now. I love the ratios here. Yeah, we lose Lightning Storm. Cool. Still play the Feather Duster. Like, this is fine. Like, this literally set the stage for what you wanted to see in terms of, ratios. Next up here is Rikka Rikka Sun Avalon on a 60 card base. First of all, this is kind of crazy. The fact that we are seeing this spread across the board here. The fact that they went, okay, we're going to play extra hand traps here. We're going to go ahead and extend out, 3 UBs across all of our, the Rikka stuff that we need. And we'll still be able to make this work on the 15-card extra deck. Is a little bit mind-boggling to me. But it worked because this ended up winning a side event, which is actually pretty impressive to me overall. So kudos to the player that operated this. They're actually crazy in my opinion, but it worked out. Like, this is the kind of deck building innovation out here that really will put a smile on people's faces, and people will be like, well, how am I supposed to handle a deck like this? Well, once this deck gets going, it's really a monster. Obviously, thrust into talents is, the sauce right now. Next up here, we have another Sprite deck. See, once again, this is where you're seeing, this little package right here. Really, really good. We actually are seeing one of our very few short runs of decks still playing Droplet right now. Now, I made a video talking about how Droplet was expected to be like a very good thing, kind of stepping into the format. Droplet is very good right now, unless you play against Cached Era. Then the card's literally worthless, but that's fine. The other interesting thing is this package right here. Right of Armezia, honestly, Sprite has been trying to have a big argument between, playing the Brave package or not playing the Brave package in terms of deck build. You can make an argument for either at this stage. I've seen it go either way because both Pure and this have both been very successful this very early stages here. So a little bit of something to kind of keep in mind, and Eradicator Epidemic Virus still continuing to show up. Hi, Gigantic Sprite. You're a good card. That's actually everything that we have out of the chunk of events here. And to be honest with you, out of everything that has kind of happened at this stage in the very early parts of the format here, I think that we're going to continue to see a lot more innovation out here. A lot of the very early ideas are kind of pointing at, a lot of different ways to kind of do things out here. And I think as we see more and more results come in, I've already seen something like Metal Foes doing well out here on some of the more localized levels. Haven't had the chance to talk about that. Super Heavy is still innovating. It's very, very interesting to see. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below to what you guys think. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.